using the posted agenda. Thank you. If we could stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
The vision of the Auburn Public Schools is to educate and prepare students for the opportunities and challenges of a changing world. Our commitment: we will create, maintain, and support an environment that fosters a sense of belonging for all students in our schools, respecting race, color, sex, religion, national origin, sexual orientation, gender identity, homelessness, poverty, spoken language, and ability.
Okay, thank you. Do we have special recognitions tonight?
None tonight, Madam Chair.
Okay, I'll seek approval for the minutes from March 4th, 2026.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes from March 4th, 2026.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, is a vote. We do have a student rep here tonight, so I'm actually going to turn it over to you for your report.
Hi, my name is Amalia Bradley Hazard. First off, we have the Polar Plunge. It's on Friday for the Special Olympics at the middle school. Auburn will hold the Polar Plunge. It's to raise awareness and, if you choose, to raise money. Today was the first day of finals at the Auburn High School. Everyone is excited to finish their finals and end trimester 2. Since trimester 2 is ending, trimester 3 must begin. Kids are ready for new classes and new friends to see. The new year is right around the corner, and it's time to select our courses for next year. Students are excited to choose what classes they want and if they want to take any APs. Since it's about time to choose courses, AP forms are due, and students are getting teachers to sign their forms so they can sign up for all our interesting APs. A lot of our students are participating in the musical, which is the Addams Family. Our students have put a lot of time and effort, and all of it will be shown this weekend.
And are there tickets still available?
Yes, I believe so. You can get them at the door, or Miss Bailey hasn't posted the link yet, but the link will be up by any time.
Okay, awesome, great, that's exciting. A lot going on. Any questions or comments for our student rep?
Through the chair, what time? Do you know what time the Polar Plunge is?
What time the Polar Plunge is?
Yeah. I think it starts.
I think you have to be there by 12:15.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think then the festivities don't begin till maybe around 1 o'clock. It's getting everybody there. There are forms they have to fill out. I think safety forms and that kind of thing. So that takes a little bit of time.
All right, great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
You're welcome to stay, or you can go. I'm sure you have a busy schedule.
Thank you, guys.
All right.
Thanks for coming.
All right, I will turn it over to you, Dr. Chamberlain, for the superintendent's report.
No student spotlight tonight.
Okay. And anyone here for citizens' comments? Seeing none, okay, we will move on to the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So as it is this time of year, the FY27 draft budget stays on this agenda for a bit. And so we do have another update, unfortunately not the best of news for the Auburn Public Schools that was received a little over a week ago. But we were informed by the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education that we anticipate a fairly substantial cut to our Title I funding that we get. So Mr. Keller nicely put together a little PowerPoint to kind of just talk about what Title I is. Is that not going to work?
No, I'll go up there if that's all right.
Okay. And how this determination was made, the fact that none of this will be completely solid until July when we receive the award. So at this time, this is all estimations on how this will work out. But go ahead, Mr. Keller.
Sure. And so I apologize if you're familiar with Title I, but I just wanted to do just a kind of brief overview of what exactly Title I is, because it's a term that gets thrown out there a lot. So it is a federal program. It offers schools and districts financial assistance, those schools and districts that have high numbers or high percentages of children from low-income families. So it's designed to close educational achievement gaps. Federal funds can go to educational programs and services. So there are really 4 priorities to Title I that schools and districts are required to follow, and that is to strengthen the core program that we offer to those students, provide evidence-based programs, elevate instruction, and increase community engagement. So those are kind of the tenets of what Title I is. What we have used our Title I monies for over the years are, I'm sure you're familiar with our academic summer schools. So we have our extended school year that are for students on IEPs, and that's run by the Director of Pupil Services. And then we also have our Title I summer school that in the past was offered to students at the elementary level as well as middle school. And then 2 years ago, our percentages changed. So middle school is no longer eligible under Title I, and that shifted to Packagug. So now it's for our K-5 schools. So anyway, our Title I monies, a lot of our Title I monies have been directed toward our academic summer school. We have 5 paraprofessionals that are at the K-5 level that support literacy and math learning for those students. We have before and after school tutoring for students identified as Title I students. We've had professional development directed to teachers who work with those students, and supplies and materials to move the learning forward for those students. So this is the last this is the last 4 years, and then what we learned from the preliminary numbers that came out. So Dr. Chamberlain and I received a memo on March 5th that was sent to all districts across the Commonwealth. And so you can see that, we range anywhere from 231,000 up to our current year, where we had $269,000 in Title I funding. And what it's predicted right now for next school year, is that dropping down to $110,000. Obviously, you don't need to be a director of finance to know that that's a pretty significant drop for us. So why the reduction? First and foremost, what we learned from the Department of Education is that they received information from the federal government that Massachusetts in general is going to be realizing about a 10% drop across the board. So all districts that receive Title I funding, their funding is going to go down about 10%. And the way they ultimately determine this is they look at the 2020 census, 2024 American Community Survey, 2023 IRS tax filings, and 2024 SNAP benefits. So that's the data that they ultimately use for this year. And then, of course, those years change when they look at this stuff. So when Massachusetts got this, when the Department of Ed got this information, they immediately went back to the feds and asked for them to take another look at this. And what we're told from the Department of Education, Massachusetts Department of Education, is they were given all the data, and it appears to be accurate. So there didn't appear to be any incorrect finding in Massachusetts losing that. So in addition to that overall 10%, what we learned as we looked at this is that there are 4 different Title I funding streams in Massachusetts, and because our poverty rate is projected to be below 5% for next year, we lose access to 2 Title I funding streams. So as you can see in the bottom bullet point there, for the current year, FY26, our poverty level was 6.7%. And right now that's projected to be at 4.8% for next year. So obviously that is dropping below 5%. So those 2 things, both what's happening to all districts across the Commonwealth, as well as us dipping below 5%, leads to that very significant reduction. So ultimately, so Dr. Chamberlain and I met on scheduled a meeting as soon as we got this and we met with our liaison on March 9th because we wanted to look closer at our data and make sure that that stuff was accurate. And so we had a good meeting with her. But ultimately she said that, the data is what it is. And she's like, I don't want to create any false confidence in you, but more than likely this is what you're going to have for next year. So that's kind of where we're at. Of course, that may change, but like I said, she conveyed to us that more than likely it won't. And so we have to think about this pretty seriously. So, and the final thing I wanted to present about this tonight was just the impact of that decrease in funding. So it is, I mentioned earlier, there's 5 positions at the elementary level that support students in literacy and math. So there's potential staffing cuts there. Obviously, professional development will take a hit. We have had contracts with professional development providers, and so we're having to take a look at that. Academic summer camp would likely not be able to take place anymore. And then I mentioned earlier the supplies and materials that we utilize for those students. So.
Yeah, so the basic recommendation when we met with our liaison from DESE was some places are creating two budgets. For us, that seemed a bit complicated, so what you'll see in the budget that's here tonight is what we've done is taken two of the positions that are currently funded through Title I, and we've kept them in the budget, but kept them in at $1. So that we're not losing the position per se, that it's still there. And then based on the funding, once it's received in July, which we'll actually know for sure what we're getting, the hope is that those will be able to be reinstated. This definitely will have a direct impact on summer school for next summer. If this comes in at approximately what they're saying we're going to get, it would be unlikely that we'll be able to offer that next summer. At all. So again, this summer is being funded by the money we currently have. So we're talking about the summer of FY27 that would be impacted by this. And the thing with grants is they all have the grant periods within which you have to use the funding. So that's the other thing. If you could carry some of the money longer, so there is some money that we're carrying from this year into next year. And what we're hoping is that in conjunction with whatever award we get in July, we'll be able to keep the 5 positions that we have. Given the cuts that we've already made to staffing, I think fully cutting any of these positions would hurt our schools. But again, I think we have to be cautious right now to say, let's see what it actually comes in at. If it comes in at the $110,000, $110,044, coupled with the money that we are able to carry over from this year, we believe we can fully fund the 5 positions and still have a little bit left. So we're being cautious with putting these 2 in at $1. And that's why leaving them there, that hopefully we're not going to lose them. But based on the advice that DESE gave to us, we have to have kind of a plan in place for that. Or we should have a plan in place. I guess we don't have to. DESE can't tell us what to put in our budget, but they're encouraging us to have a plan in place for that. So this gives us some flexibility, I think, that once we get the award, you can see how that goes.
And through the chair, unfortunately this year, a lot of our grants came in even later than that. They didn't come until after school started, so that's also a concern.
Well, but that should not be the case this year. So we have been assured that that won't happen. But I think I almost prefer that to this, quite frankly. Give us the money later, but give us the full amount. But seemingly they believe we will have our funding in July this year, that there will not be a delay on that. But she was pretty confident that this is about where we're going to land.
Through the chair, when do we have to tell those 2 positions that they won't be funded next year?
So those are support positions, so we don't have a deadline as we do with professional positions. So that's again why I'm hopeful that by doing this we can.
Awesome.
So if the funding comes in appropriately, I think we fund them. I think we'll be able to do that, but a lot of moving pieces right now. The reason for the revised budget is because this does impact our projected offsets. All of the funding for these folks would be reflected in offsets, so you'll see it's still a 3.9% increase from 26 to 27, but there is about a 60,000 decrease in the offsets at this point.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. It was not good news. And even the woman from DESE said, I knew I was going to hear from you, she said, and I knew it wasn't going to be a pleasant call. But there's nothing they can do, right? It's not a DESE decision. Title I is federal funding. And it still baffles me that we could see such a significant decrease, which I think is a significant change from 6.7 to 4.8% of families qualifying. But I also think she said that a lot of this has to do with the federal definition of poverty level, which was like $36,000 for a family of 4, which is
31,200. Yeah.
It's just unbelievable, so. Anyway, there's always a chance that things could change, but I think we had to be honest about it, that there could be a possibility that we would lose some of this. But hopeful that with the funding we do get, we can keep positions, but it will impact summer school and potentially professional development.
Okay. And there's no other funding source we could use for professional development?
Well, so we have our professional development district-wide PD that we use. So we utilize that for all staff PD. The Title I is designated specific for supporting students that would have been identified as Title I. So I don't want to make it seem like we won't have PD next year.
Okay.
Great question.
Yeah. But it is something that we've leaned on heavily for specific things around curriculum, supports and resources for students who have some deficits.
Okay. All right, thank you.
That's a great point.
Okay, any other questions, comments? No? All right, seeing none. Mr. Doom and Gloom, you're off the hook. No more of this burnout.
Doom and gloom PowerPoints.
I would ask that we do have a vote, and
Sorry.
we didn't put in the exact offset, but to do this with the same increase, including just the adjusted offsets. As I will share this with, I have to go to finance on April 1st, to the finance committee. So I want to be able to point this out to them as well, that this was an area that we did change.
I'll make a motion to approve the FY27 budget as presented with a 3.92% increase over FY26, including the adjusted offsets.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right, so we'll move on to the mid-year cell phone survey.
Yeah, we're gonna move the student activity account down to the business and financial. Is that gonna work from here?
Probably. No.
Sorry.
No, it's okay.
You're gonna have to be my operator up there. Yeah, so I'll give you a minute to get there, because we are going a little out of order, so there's a big stack in between. In between the student activity thing and the cell phone survey. Did everybody get it? Okay. Okay, so, as we know, the approach to cell phones in the middle school and high school, and Swanson Road to some degree, was talked about at the end of last year. There was a committee that came together and determined that this year would be a pilot for those practices. And then from there, we would conduct 3 cell phone surveys throughout the course of the year, to see what families, staff, and students thought about our approach to the cell phones in each of the buildings. So what I tried to do in this one is to do it comparatively, so you'll see the first 2 areas are Auburn High School October survey, Auburn High School March survey, then it's Auburn Middle School October and Auburn Middle School March. To see some comparison, it is a lot of data and it is a little bit funky, so I'm going to go through this tonight, but I'm happy to put this on the next agenda. I thought maybe then people would have questions, and then I could have Mr. DeLongchamp and Mr. Carlson come if you'd like, so we can talk about that at the end. So we start with what our families are saying. We had 43 families at the high school answer and 119 at the middle school. How do you feel about the school's no cell phone policy? In large part, they strongly support it across the board. So I think that's a pretty clear set of data from families in that regard. What are they saying about our benefits? And you're going to see in yours, I added these in today where it says the first column is family, Auburn High School families. The second one is the middle school families. I don't think that's in your printout. So I just wanted to point that out. The first column is high school families, second one is middle school families. And also under the middle school families, there was some incorrect data in your copy, so this is updated. So at the high school, improve focus and learning, better social interaction, reduce issues related to phones, social media drama, cyberbullying, screen time. At the middle school, definitely reduce distractions and improve focus. So similarly, I didn't put the comparative comments. They're very much the same from when we did this back in October. The next one is, what do you see as the main drawbacks? Communication concerns at the high school. Emergency and safety tend to come up a lot. People believe that they would be more safe with greater access. And at the high school, there were some comments about, they should teach responsible phone use, right, versus having it in their backpacks. The middle school emergency and safety concerns that they couldn't contact their families if needed, that there's challenges with students in the school day about schedule changes and rides. And while some expressed concerns about safety or teaching responsible phone use, many also said they saw no drawbacks to the policy at the middle school level. Do you believe the cell phone policy has improved your child's focus and learning at school? Many said it stayed about, I'm going backwards I'm on the wrong page. Okay. I flipped the page too early, sorry. Actually, I'm not even going to look at this because I'm going to get confused. Do you believe it has improved their focus? Many said not a whole lot of a difference, right? In some cases, there are some that says yes and some somewhat, but that there's not a big difference in their focus and learning. And this is from families.
Through the chair, oh, okay. So AHS.
Yeah. And then, yeah.
Okay. So it seems like at least at AHS in March,
There was more of they more so believed that it had improved their child's focus and learning at school. Yes. Okay, Alan. How do you feel about student safety without access to cell phones during the school day? Responses stayed very similar, about the same. A few saying safer, a few saying less safe, but not, I wouldn't call those dramatic changes in any of those. If you could change one thing about the cell phone policy, what would it be? At the high school, the idea about communication and being able to easily communicate, particularly around scheduling of transportation, still emergency and safety concerns, and concerns about teaching responsible use. At the middle school, many support keeping it as is. They saw no need for change. Some suggested some limited access during specific times of the day. And several focused on logistics, such as allowing them in backpacks versus in the lockers. So they are in the lockers at the middle school, not at the high school. They are in their backpacks. And this is for middle school families only. Does your child have enough time to visit their locker during the school day? Some say, it seems like from October to March, it was about the same for enough time. The not enough time went down a little bit. Again, I don't see huge swings in this. So there's some debate, and you'll see that the responses, we asked the same question to staff and students, and there are some differing opinions among those groups as well. So we'll get to that. So what's our staff saying? At the high school, we had 63 respondents. At the middle school, we had 40. How do you feel about the school's no cell phone policy? Largely and vastly, they strongly support it.
through the chair, how many staff are there at AHS and how many are at AMS overall? Like, what's the percentage of
Yeah, so I want to say that maybe there are about, this is a rough estimate, maybe 80 at the high school
Okay.
and probably between 55 and 60 at the middle school.
Okay.
How often do you observe students attempting to use cell phones during the school day? Rarely is what shows up in most cases. Now, that changed a little bit from October to March at the high school, right? Stayed pretty close to the same at the middle school. So that dropped, with sometimes going up a little bit at the high school. But again, I think in large part, it's a rare thing to see kids on their phones. What do you see as the main benefits of the no cell phone policy? For the staff at the high school, fewer distractions, improved engagement, and easier classroom management. There was another question about that further down as well. And at the middle school, increased focus and engagement, fewer distractions, and improved social interactions, more face-to-face with peers, leading to stronger classroom connections and less drama. Do you believe the no cell phone policy has improved student focus and classroom behavior? Yes, and somewhat are the two main respondents. Very few said no difference or worse. How has the policy affected your classroom management workload? In large part, easier to manage. That was improved quite a bit, I think, at the middle school from October to March, or it's about the same, but mostly improved, easier to manage. What has your experience been in supporting the cell phone policy in your classroom? Mostly easy to support. And the next one is mostly manageable. So the other two categories were somewhat challenging, or I do not enforce it. That was very, very rarely cited.
I'm surprised they would admit that.
Well, that's what I'm thinking because I don't.
Yeah.
From a staff perspective, what changes or improvements would you recommend? At the high school, they see the policy as effective for reducing distractions. Enforcement challenges, some staff note inconsistent enforcement across classrooms, which I think we talked about the last time and I think we recognize would probably happen. And I think they are saying somewhat AirPods are a little bit harder to, or earphones are a little bit harder to manage if somebody pulls it, you're not going to walk around and pull kids' hair up to see if they have a AirPod in. So, and a few recommend limited phone use, like during lunch or breaks, stricter iPad monitoring, and consistent building-wide enforcement. At the middle school, they have a lot of support for the current policy. It helps maintain focus in a learning environment. Consistency is key. Again, uneven enforcement across classrooms and grades, and the need for clearer rules on locker and dismissal use. And limited exceptions suggested. A few staff noted phones could be allowed in extenuating circumstances like Wi-Fi issues. I think that gets dicey, and we've been working on our Wi-Fi issues, emergencies, or during end-of-day homeroom. And there are times students do have access, so I think that's there are times for that. And this is just for middle school staff as well. Do students have enough time to visit their lockers? So this goes. I don't know, is that, the green is October and the pink is March. So most said yes, a few said no, and some said other. So there were some comments about, and they've been working on this, on how to give a little bit more time in between classes and then have the kids that have the lockers on the upper go at one period and then between the next period have the kids with the, so that kids aren't on top of each other because their lockers are stacked. So they've been working on some options like that over there too. What are our students saying? At the high school, we had 501 students respond, and at the middle school, we had 511. The high school has a student population of about 720, and the middle school is more like 620.
Wow.
They're
Like,
vocal.
yeah. I like the,
Yeah.
the passion.
Yes.
How do you feel about the no cell phone policy? In this case, the graph is completely shifted from what we've seen previously, where many strongly oppose. Some somewhat oppose. So there is definitely a feeling by the students that they want their cell phone, without a doubt. And
Which we are surveying them, so we need to value their opinion.
exactly. Yeah. And now I'm just saying, I don't think I was surprised.
No.
Yeah. What do you see as the main benefits? Again, increased focus and productivity, more social interactions, reduced distractions, and some students felt no real impact, saying that it was okay to not have their phones on them. At the middle school, they do have it on them, but to not be using them. Middle school students, less distractions, improved classroom environment, fewer classroom distractions in the classroom, and better engagement.
So it's funny, they're saying the same thing the teachers are saying, but just they don't like the policy.
Yeah. What do you see as the main drawbacks of having no cell phones? Communication and safety concerns. Again, that was a consistent theme, right, from families as well. Emotional impact, boredom, loneliness, and awkwardness during lunch or activity blocks, and logistics for practices and those kind of things after school. The middle school, again, safety and emergencies. They can't contact their parents or 911 during an emergency, communication challenges, schedule changes, rides, that kind of thing. And the emotional impact. Many feel uneasy or less secure without phones and believe having them provide comfort and peace of mind. Do you think the cell phone policy has improved student focus in class? So not so many yes. Somewhat went up from October to March, both at the high school and at the middle school. No difference went down at the high school and the middle school. Worse, there was some variation. Worse went up a little bit at the high school from October to March and went down a little bit at the middle school. Do you feel safer, less safe, or about the same without, I should say without having access to your phone during school hours? So at the high school in October, there was a lot of unsafe. That number has come down significantly in March. And at the middle school, less safe seemed to stay about the same. And that same number stayed about the same as well. So if you could change one thing about the cell phone policy, what would it be? At the high school, overwhelming support for limited phone access. Most students want phones allowed during lunch, activity, passing blocks. The middle school would like more flexibility, allowed at lunch and homeroom or during free time. Safety concerns, they want them in their pockets or bags versus the locker room, and some are frustrated with limited locker time. Again, this is middle school students only. Is there enough time to visit your locker during the school day? Most said no, and that was up from when we did it in October. I think that's it, right?
Yep.
So I thought this might be the first time that we were all really going through all of this, so wondered that if you'd like Mr. Carlson and Mr. DeLongchamp to come to the next meeting, now that you've kind of seen this, there is a supplemental piece in your packet at the back. What I also asked them to look at, you'll see there's a graph that I don't have for a slide. But there's a graph that looks like this toward the back. That's a graph over time of how many phones they've had to collect during the day since the start of the year. You know, where a student has been referred down because they have violated in some way the cell phone policy. So there has been somewhat of a decrease there. And on the next page, they've given some more specifics about the data. The highest single day, they had 14 phones that they collected. They have a number of days where they have not had to collect any phones from students, because that's the first step. If you're found in violation, the phone stays in the office and you get it back at the end of the day. There were 24 days during this time where 0 phones were confiscated. There was a peak in September. I think it's hard to tell on this graph. I had seen another one. There was a big bounce in that the day after the closure at Auburn High School that we closed for the odor.
Oh,
That following day, the 11th, I think there was a big spike, and I think a lot of people using their phones just because there was a lot going on that day. So it's, you know, over time, he said in a high volume period, it's about 7.5 phones per day. They've not had huge issues with it. It hasn't been a big lift on the office as well. And then you'll see on the last page of that packet, this is from the middle school. They gave me data for first offense, second offense, third offense. So they've had 5 in grade 6 with a first offense, 24 in grade 7, and 19 in grade 8. And then you'll see second offense and third offense drops off dramatically, right? They get a call home, the phone gets taken for the day. And so if you'd like them to come in to speak to any of that, or once you have some time to formulate some questions, I do think the committee needs to think about a couple of things. Do we do this again at the end of the year where it's short time, which we certainly can? I think the number of respondents we're getting from families is decreasing. But again, up to the committee, we had said that this was a pilot year and we would do it 3 times. And I think the next decision is how to move forward, because when we had talked about this initially, it was a 1-year pilot.
Through the chair, Piper, would you say you're seeing more cell phones? Because I'm wondering if with the data of, you know, not sending cell phones to the office, is it because it's not being enforced as much?
Yeah, There are some times in my classes where I do see people, I can tell that they're on their phone even though I might not see it because our iPads have stands on them. So like sometimes like if you're in the back, you can just use your stand as like a shield from the teacher. But obviously like the teacher like won't pick up on that. And I do have some classes where a bunch of people have been on their phones because the teacher just doesn't enforce it. But if they did, out of that class would probably like be like 6 people who got their phones taken away and like sent down to the office. That happens. So I think enforcement is a big issue. And the fact that kids can hide their phones behind their iPads is also big. And like I'll sometimes see kids like hide it in like their pocket and like just like put it next, like hold it out to their pocket next to them to try to be sneaky. But
Well, and I don't think, well, I'll just speak for myself if I can through the chair. No one thought that this was going to completely eliminate cell phone use in schools. But I guess another follow-up question would be, but has it helped? Has it helped?
yeah, I mean, from my point of view, yeah, and I think, like I said, I think there has been, I mean, I can't really speak for everyone, but I feel like based on what I'm hearing, I'm thinking that I think that there has been more of an increase in attention and communication and what's the word? I can't think of the word right now. Participation. I think that there's been an increase in all that. Maybe not like usually, but I definitely have seen. Like compared to my freshman year when phones were like all the rage and there was no policy around like passing periods or whatever. I think that there has been an increase in communication, all that kind of stuff.
Through the chair, I just have to say that I do feel I keep seeing safety as a concern for these kids and lockers. It's interesting because the teachers all think they have enough time at the lockers and the kids don't. And I think we need to value what the kids are saying, especially because it looks like it's getting worse than better. And I know that the teachers are working super hard at that, and they're still having that. So I don't know if we need to lighten it, but then make the ramifications for breaking it more severe so that, those kids who are still going to participate, are able to have their phones, maybe not on their desk, but on their person, instead of everybody not having them.
Are you talking about the middle school or the high school? Just middle school?
So lockers, I know the high school doesn't use lockers.
Right.
I think if we're going to continue lockers at the middle school, we should also do it at the high school. It's fair is fair. I don't know if we can. I heard there aren't enough lockers at the high school.
Some of it is logistical at the high school for lockers.
Yeah.
Because I think I can remember from my own high school career that if you had a certain class in a certain place and your locker was in a certain place, it creates issues. And the way our high school is set up, as it being this one big long, that can create issues.
So did they never use locker? I mean, I never went to that high school, so I don't like 20.
They haven't used them in a long time.
Yeah. So but no, I think with cell phones in and of itself, at both the middle and the high school, I'm wondering if the same kids who were misusing them last year are still misusing them, maybe not as much. And instead, I teach CCD and I had 8th graders in front of me, and it was interesting to hear their perspective about my mom is on her phone all day for work, and if I could text her to say, hey, I'm staying after school, it'd be a heck of a lot easier because she's not going to be able to pick up the phone. Now, these are all kids who are comfortable with me and saying things. It's not those kids who are going to be breaking the rules anyway. But I don't know. I don't think it's working for all kids. And that's what the data looks like to me.
Meaning the lockers or the policy in general?
I think both. I think, yes, I guess the policy in general. I think the cell phones, I think they're still using them from what I can tell, at both the middle and the high school. Probably not as much as they used to. I don't want to see cell phones at lunch, maybe not even in every passing period, because then I think kids are going to walk into each other. but I think they're still using them. I think they're in kids' pockets all the time.
So through the chair, I'm going to just speak from a teacher perspective. There are so many nightmares that come with having phones on their persons and in their class. And I'm like, as a middle school parent as well, like, unpopular opinion, no cell phone policy is perfect, but I think that we need to I personally think that we need to continue the cell phone policy. As an educator, when the kid has their phone on them, I can't tell you how many times I go up to a kid, I'm like, I need your phone. And they'll start arguing with me and it becomes a bigger issue. And then I have to send them up to the office, or a kid comes up and says, little Johnny has his phone on him. He's taking pictures of me. Now it becomes an even bigger issue. And then it continues and it just escalates. And so I think the idea of putting the phone away in the locker, I mean, that's our school rule, and I can only speak to like my experience. We still have kids that break it. You're always going to have kids that break it. But where I could see leniency, and I agree that not at lunch, but I could see leniency at end of day homeroom. Because like I have kids that will say, can I call my parent? I need to see if I'm staying after. And as a teacher, that's where I feel like it's okay for me to be lenient. Where I can say, yes, it's end of the day, like go into the back hall and call. But in the middle of the day, I just feel like I think we're treating them, and I'm not talking about high school, I'm only talking about middle school. I think that we're trying to give them a voice, and I think that's important, but at the same time, we also need to be the adults and say to them, like, this is not appropriate. We're trying to teach them cell phone use. So can you imagine if a teacher got up in the middle of the day and was like, oh, I'm sorry, excuse me, and just picked up their phone and started talking? That's kind of...
Kids do that through the chair in class?
No, I don't think so. But I mean, like, but I'm just saying, like, teachers are held to a standard about, like, we don't use our phones in school and we don't do this. And I think that we also need to tell the kids, like, this is your job. Like, you need to have these rules, and they're going to end up in certain jobs where they might not be able to have their cell phone on them. So I cautiously feel that we need to be very well aware that, yes, no kid is going to like not having their cell phone on them. But at the same time, I think we need to be understanding, like, how much more problematic will it become if we give them an inch? Are they going to take a mile?
Through the chair, I don't think all kids will take a mile.
No, I don't think so either.
And this has always been my stance is I don't like punishing all the kids for those kids who are going to talk back in class. Why not be harsher on them than everybody? And we do have kids who have their cell phones, kids with medical needs like IEPs, all that stuff that might have their cell phone on their person. And then those kids are, now we all know who has diabetes, that we, like all those things. So there's just a lot. I don't know what the solution is to it, but I also think if we're not going to listen to the kids, why are we surveying them? Then let's just not survey them.
My only point to that is we have to listen to everybody. We need to listen to the kids. We need to listen to the families and the teachers as well.
Absolutely.
But it doesn't mean the kids know what's right.
So I think there's got to be that whole look as a whole. We can't go just by what the teachers say, or just by what the kids say, or just by what the families say.
Right. Maybe meet in the middle or
That would be
something.
the only thing I would caution, is that it's got to be everybody's voice has to be heard to some degree.
Right. Exactly.
So, through the chair, since we are all very passionate about the cell phone use in our children, I think it would be wonderful if the principals could come to a meeting so we can digest and unpack
And that was part of my
This-
reason for saying that.
this
Rather
data.
than tonight,
Yeah, I
when
don't
it's
think we
all
should.
kind of a
Yeah.
new topic.
This is, I don't want to be reactive. I want to be informed. I want to unpack this, because then we can now then go, oh, you know what? I do want to know more about what the kids thought for this, or you know what? The staff had a great point, and they have those answers because they're with
Right.
these students. So if I don't know if they can come to the next one or the one after.
That was how I left this with them. I said, for them
Yeah.
to not come tonight, I said, because I knew there was going to be a lot to go through.
Yeah.
But I said I would offer, as I said earlier, for them
Yeah.
to come to the next meeting when you've had some time again to sit and look through this
Yeah.
and
Yeah, I would.
think about it, and formulate.
I would love to hear through the chair. I would love to hear what their input is
Yeah,
because
and they're
they
happy
are
to
every
come.
day.
Yep.
And I wouldn't want to make a decision on their schools that I'm not in either.
No.
All right, so that's what I was going to ask. Do we want them to come to, probably not the next one. The next one's the hearing, right? So
Next
maybe,
one's public hearing.
yeah,
Public hearings don't usually run very long. though.
okay.
So
Yeah,
let me see what else is on there. If not, we'll put it on the next
Okay.
one. But I think it's
So-
got to be sooner than later, honestly.
yep. So we'll plan to have them come. We also need to think about, do we want to do a third survey? I kind of think it's overkill personally, but I mean, think about it and maybe at the next meeting, we can have a decision
I
on
think if we
that.
said we were going to do it because we were going to pilot it, we got to do it. We said
Now-
we were going to. This is just close it in. If we don't get the responses, well, like you were saying that the families are less and less, then we have to go by the data that we have. But we're
So
giving
due
these
to
kids.
time constraints, if we are going to make any changes, it needs to be in the handbook, which needs to be approved before the end of the school year. So it's going to be a little tricky lining everything up. So that's just something to think about.
Yeah.
And we wouldn't do it now because we just did this one. So it would probably be done in early June.
So either we do it and
Late
not
May, I guess.
count
Late
those
May.
results.
We don't want to do that either.
So, yeah.
And through the chair, I know that a lot of kids, especially after this recent survey, have expressed a ton of opinions saying that like they don't want to do the survey and that it's like stupid and everything. So I don't know if we really have a ton of people, especially students, who would be responding to the survey. So
So that's a good point too. Yeah, I mean, if the kids are burnt out on cell phone surveys, then,
Through the chair,
Yeah.
can I just ask one thing? If we're going to have both principals there, is it possible to bring one of the students who is on the committee to also, who speak to the students, to also give that opinion as well with the principals? Is that possible?
Yeah, I don't think we had a I don't think we had a middle school student. I think we had a few high school students. Piper
We
being
could, I
one.
mean, there's a lot of vocal middle school.
We have one from the high school already, so.
No, I know, but I'm saying one that was on the committee.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was on the committee.
Were you on the committee?
Yeah.
Oh my God, you were. I'm so
Yeah.
sorry.
and so was one other high schooler.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that you were the only students. We didn't have any middle school
Yeah.
students.
Okay.
I would just be careful with giving false hope too, if the will of the committee is going to be next year, we're holding strong and keeping it as is, bringing in more and more input and views is great, but we just got to be careful. We don't want these kids to think, there's going to be some leniency or new parameters or whatever.
Through the chair, my only concern, honestly, is just the feeling of safety. I never want students to feel unsafe. So that's my only concern as I look at everything. So I just want to make sure that we are handling that appropriately for them so that they do feel safe within the buildings.
Could you go back to that slide, Alan, for the students?
And I think Dan and Matt should probably address that issue when they come back as well.
I think
Those
was
are
it
good
the one you just
questions for them.
Did you just?
The graph or?
Oh no, yeah, that's the wrong one. Sorry.
Which one?
Towards the end.
Oh, there it is.
There it is. Yeah. So, yeah, interestingly, in that regard, and I agree with you, we can address that. I don't want anybody to feel unsafe either. I completely agree. At the high school, there was a significant, if I'm looking correctly, my eyes are fading on the colors there, less safe, went down from 60% to almost down to 40%, right?
Yeah.
So there was some improvement there. Stayed about the same at the middle school, but their phones are in their lockers.
Yeah, and through the chair, honestly, that's the one I was looking at was the middle school, and I think it's due to the lockers, so that's why
Yep.
that's my only concern.
Yep.
Okay, so I guess think about, do we want this third survey? We're gonna have them at our next meeting to discuss, and definitely come with your questions. I think the safety is a huge issue and something that the principals should be ready to, answer questions concerning that. And then do we want to be ready by the end of this next meeting to vote on what we're going to do, like moving
Maybe the
forward?
meeting after.
Maybe the meeting.
I think that's gonna be too quick.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't want to make any decisions without
Yeah.
really understanding what the schools want and need.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions or comments or concerns or seeing none? All right, I guess time to move on.
Okay. The next item is the policy subcommittee, so that's.
Okay, so Sam, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, so we're on our second read of AC, ACA, and FFA. There were no changes suggested to policy AC or policy ACA. Like I said, those were just updates. They were just reverted back to the 2022 policy after the federal court ruling on Title IX for both AC and ACA. The one suggestion that was made and changed on the updated was policy FFA memorials. And we added that permanent memorials on school property will be limited to the discretion of the school principal and superintendent. And that is the only difference was suggested. So.
Okay. And these are all going to third read or, okay. All right.
Thank you again for all the work on
Yeah, I know, thank you.
Well, don't worry, there's more coming next time. We're gonna do a batch and then bring a new batch and then we'll just slow and steady.
It's a lot of work, thank you
Yes,
both.
and I know I've been touching base. Jen and I met for a while talking about one policy, so we'll see some policy changes. The one thing I just want to update everyone on is like there's a lot of his, her. So to change to like highlight everything, I'm just gonna blanket statement. Like if it's his, her, we're gonna do they, them, their. Just make it easier. So that would be just a wording change. I started highlighting it. I'm like, oh my God, it's like every 3 words. So just so you know, it's just easier to make it more. We had a couple in the policy that Jen and I were looking at that was a lot of him, the superintendent, he shall. So we just say they shall, just
Soon he shall.
easy. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, well, soon he shall, but right now it's they shall. So we're just trying to make it like more inclusive language. And so I didn't highlight all those, but any major changes to like the policy in any way, shape, or form. So those will be coming next time.
Awesome, all right, thank you very much. All right, we'll move on to new business.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The first item is for your consideration as a warrant article. I've been working through Mr. Gregoire and with town administration, Town Manager Vecchio and Assistant Town Manager Coleman, related to the generator at Auburn High School. And I think we've mentioned this previously. We have had to have some significant work done on it. It is still not up to the level of performance that it needs to be in order to run what is a town evacuation site in the event there were an emergency. So that is the site that's designated for the town, and in collaboration with the town manager, she has suggested that we put in this additional warrant article that asks for the town meeting to vote to appropriate $314,000 from free cash to fund the purchase and installation of a new generator at Auburn High School. They believe that this too is an imperative item that needs to be repaired and plays a large role in the overall town safety and emergency response. And so I seek I'd answer any questions you have, but I would ask for your approval of this to be sent to the town.
Through the chair, I just have one question.
Yes.
I just want to make sure that the blue part the blue writing, that will be in the warrant for town meeting members to see.
We
correct?
do send that to town meeting
Okay.
members.
I just want
Yes.
to make sure
Yep.
that they realize that that's
Yep.
in there. Okay.
Okay, and I do need a motion for that.
Make a motion to approve the warrant article for the generator at Auburn High School as presented.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right.
Thank you.
I think it's a great idea to go and ask for,
Agreed.
yeah, in free cash.
I just hope that works. We
Well, I mean, like it says, it's an emergency evacuation site, so if we don't have a good generator, then everyone suffers, so it doesn't make sense. Okay.
The next item is the Auburn High School Makeup Day for students. So as you know, back in February, we closed the high school for a day due to an unidentifiable odor. And so I'm putting forward that we use this Friday, March 20th, as the makeup day for high school students and staff. We did survey families and the staff. We had 445 families respond. 71% were in favor of using the March 20th date. We had 52 staff respond, and 92.5% also selected the March 28th date. So I seek your approval for students to do that. We are required to have the 180 days along with the 990 hours of instructional time. So we have to meet both.
Through the chair, did we ever get the waiver?
No.
Okay. I'll make
And I will tell you with the amount of waivers that they received because of the snow.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
I'll make a motion to approve the makeup day for Auburn High for March 20th, 2026.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Oh, boy, seniors are going to be very upset with us.
Through the chair, I can absolutely say it.
Yes, your daughters. Sorry. Okay, we'll move on to asbestos update.
So some time ago, Mr. Gregoire came and spoke with you. We had received some citations from the Department of Labor related to an injury of a staff member. That whole process flagged us for an asbestos review through the same Department of Labor. So he has had his share of compliance visits. What I am pleased to say is that we did have the guru from the state related to asbestos, this Miss Janet McKenna, come and walk through our buildings. This is primarily only an issue at Bryn Mawr, Packagug, and Swanson Road. Our middle school and high school are new enough that asbestos is not an issue. The only issues that were found were related to the structure and format of how we keep our documentation. There's a very specific format. There has to be a binder with certain color tabs, and they have to be labeled certain things. And with each of those tabs, the documentation has to be there. We have all the documentation. He's working on updating those into the format that's needed. The one item that did come up is on each of the boiler rooms in these schools, there was a small white sign that said something about asbestos being present. That's typically where you'll find it. It's wrapped around pipes as long as it is left undisturbed. And so again, that's why the sign was on the boiler room. One of the things we were out of compliance with was what our sign looked like. So they sent us the sign, which is an 8x11 sheet of paper. It sounds very scary about asbestos present, do not enter. And it has to be on bright orange paper on the boiler room door. And so that did spark some concern from some staff members that there was something going on with asbestos. And Mr. Gregoire met with some staff at Bryn Mawr. It simply was a sign that was always there. It just had to be different, and it looks a lot scarier than it was. But we have no concerns with asbestos or in any. We do have asbestos in our buildings, but it is all contained. It is not anything that's going to harm anyone. So, again, he's done a great job with this, and the woman that visited was very pleased with what she saw. So again, it's just really a paperwork issue, and it's nearly everything has been completed or will be now, has to be done on an ongoing basis.
All right. Sorry, I just have a random question, but does Packagug still use the library downstairs near the boiler room?
They do. I think that's, Mrs. LeBreton has her technology class.
Yeah, in
down
that
there.
other room.
Yes.
Okay.
And I also think we have a music classroom there was a,
Yep, off. on the
yeah,
back hall.
yeah,
Oh, yeah, in the back there.
yeah.
Okay.
But again, this is the boiler room, which is got a closed door. It's completely separate. And even if you go in there, there is no asbestos that would register on a detection device. But it is we simply have to let people know that it's there, even though there's nothing that's in the air. It's wrapped around pipes, it's enclosed. Some of our floors are asbestos floors, but if they are not damaged or touched, they're fine. And what we've methodically done is we've either covered them with vinyl plank, which you put a glue which seals them, or the carpet squares like we have here, which is again something that seals them in. So with the glue that's provided, so.
So I would just say, like at PAC, and I don't know how Bryn Mawr is set up, but if there are kids walking by that sign and the ones that can read and it's bright orange, there might need to be some education that goes with that.
Maybe.
From
I think it was really more so for some of the staff because it's a scary looking sign.
Yeah, yeah.
And like,
All right. Skull and crossbones.
I think a positive was just don't put any classes in that room, and so we should be fine.
Yeah. Okay. All righty. Well, any questions or comments or concerns? I'm seeing none. We'll move on to you.
All right. Well, this is a slightly more
I know. No bad news this time.
positive. No, I actually, for somehow I was able to do this work this time. I had the brilliant idea before this meeting of changing the battery in the mouse. And it seemed like it was working, but then it stopped working. But now it seems like it is working again. So anyway, I just wanted to. So last time we were together, I talked a little bit about restorative practices and what we've done in the schools, and I thought I would kind of bridge off of that topic and talk a little bit about the things that we've done in the district around culture and climate. And that's been an ongoing process, as I think you're all aware of. But I mentioned last time that we've had 95 staff members throughout the district. Pre-K through 12 that have taken place have been trained in restorative practices. And, most of that training has been in tier 1, what we do in the classroom to build relationships, to build connections among students with our staff. And we've also had staff trained in tier 2. So when a student breaks a classroom rule, how do we do that? How do we repair that relationship with another student, with the other students, or with the teacher? And then tier 3, which is there's a school rule is broken and there's some significant repair work that needs to be done. And how do we address that issue and help that student kind of repair that relationship or repair that thing that has happened? So that tier 3 is that more significant and serious issue. We have had. So I'll move on to the next thing that we've been that we've done in years past, and then once again this year we had 5. Of our teachers trained, 5 of staff, I should say, trained in I Decide, and so they are facilitators. So I Decide is a program that's run through Mass General Hospital, or associated with Mass General Hospital, I should say. And it's about supporting change through a curriculum, so helping students who have experienced or been caught in substance use. And so in the past, a lot of schools, you are caught vaping or using a substance and you're suspended from school for multiple days. And then they come back and more than likely they're engaging in that again. So, which is not to say that we're not giving consequences to students. We are. And that ties to the first thing with restorative practices. At times we do need to give consequences, but we also want to be educating and helping students understand why that behavior is problematic. And so I Decide is a extensive program that helps students understand the consequences of vaping and other substance uses, but it mainly focuses on vaping. So we now have 5 people trained in that, grades 6 through 12. And so what schools have the option of doing is when a student does that thing, then we have them stay after school or work with them during the school day to have them go through that curriculum, which is tailored and individualized to them. So they're actually talking about some of the things that they do, setting some goals for themselves. It's a pretty powerful program that has a significant amount of research and funding behind it. The high school has its peer leadership program, and that is a student-led program where students receive substantial training over the course of the year. And then they go into classrooms throughout the school year and talk a little bit about sustaining and creating welcoming, caring communities, applying practices around well-being and belonging. I'm sure you've probably heard about our Start With Hello program, and that happens district-wide. That's really around, again, belonging, identity, and self-esteem, warning signs that connects to our program that we have. If a student is made aware or sees something that concerns them, they can report that, and that we immediately as administrators and guidance counselors get information about that and can follow up. We've had teaching belonging has been a major focus the past couple of years at the K-2 level, where understanding that belonging is something that we want to teach and be explicit about that in the classroom, and helping kids understand that differences are not something to be feared or pushed away from. And also, when we as educators hear something, that silence silence on our part means that it's okay, and that there is a simple strategy that teachers at all levels can employ when they hear something and address that comment that might come up in the classroom. Most recently, we had 3 people, myself being one of them, get trained in the Dignity Index. So we have 3 people that are now going to be bringing that to our schools around dignity. And really what the Dignity Index is how do we treat people that we disagree with? So I think most of us would probably agree that over the years, we have seen in society, when somebody has a difference of opinion, there might be a tendency to say that person's bad and not want to talk to them. And the Dignity Index is all about recognizing that we all have differences of opinion, and how can we engage with that person and understand more about that opinion and belief, as opposed to shutting that off. And so that is something that we are bringing to our administrative team, bringing to our teaching teams, our schools, and working with students to help build those skills around differences of opinion, and instead of going down the path of contempt, going down the path of dignity. And then the last thing I just, which is not up there, so my mouse solution is not perfect, but is around relationship mapping. And so I've talked about that before, Dr. Chamberlain's talked about that before, but it really is a process of, we all know that if a student feels connected in some way to an adult in a school, that there's chances for success in that school and beyond are highly enhanced. And so this really makes that process practical, and make sure so we don't want to leave that to chance. And so we look at students across the district and say, does every kid have somebody that they're connected to? And when we don't, we are intentional about trying to find that connection. So I wanted to share that. It's been, all the principals have really bought into this, and it's become a really important part of what we do as a school system, along with the teaching and learning. And I wanted to share that with you tonight.
Great. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Any questions?
Through the chair, the Dignity Index was 2 years ago at MASC, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah, that's right.
That's what I remember seeing. That was great. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that was awesome.
You guys would have seen that, yes.
Yeah, it was
great.
Yeah.
Was Kennedy one?
Tim Shriver. Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, it was so good.
All right. Any more questions or comments? Seeing none, we'll move on to Ms. Stanek and the business and financial report, and we will digress back to student activity account updates.
So I'll go in order, and then we'll hit that student activity in a minute. So in your packet, you have our payroll schedule, and we have been working for quite a few months to ensure that we have this accurate and to have the least impact on our staff as possible. But due to the late start of the FY27 school year, the staff would be coming back to work on Monday, and they would be getting a full paycheck on that Thursday for 2 weeks, having not worked two full weeks. So this year, the FY26 last paycheck is on August 20th, 2026 for everyone. And then in order to ensure that they do not miss a pay period, we have been working with the AEA, the Instructional Assistant Bargaining Unit, and the ABA Bargaining Unit, and discussing that we will move them to a 27 pays next year. So it'll be 27 equalized pays as opposed to 26 equalized pays. And this is to ensure that the staff does not have to go a month without a paycheck. And also, as we do that in the subsequent year, in FY28, that will bump their first pay so that it would make sense that they come back to work and they're not getting paid 3 days after they worked and haven't worked the 2 full weeks. Does that make sense?
Yes.
It's hard to explain.
It is hard to
We've been
explain.
around the fence a bunch of times about it.
And that's to ensure we're not paying people 6 days in advance of their work. And so we need to correct that, and we need to correct that every so often. It did happen back in 2022.
Yeah, FY 2022.
And yeah, I just want to make a point that when it happened back then, the AEA was never even brought into the picture, right? So you're kind of going.
It seems that it was just an email that informed the staff in August
Yeah,
of
it was more-
2022 that they were going to get 27 paychecks. I just wanted to make sure that everybody was aware of that, because obviously if you take a full salary and divide it by 27 as opposed to dividing it by 26, it's going to look less. It's less every 2 weeks. However, it's divided by 27. So it will be the same full salary for everybody.
Through the chair, teachers can still opt for the 22 payment option, right?
Ours, in their AEA contract, they can do 21 pays or 26 pays. So those two options, you can see here that we have 6 different cycles for payroll. It is quite, it is challenging, but the teachers will go to either 22, so forgive me, 22 pays or 27 pays. Just again, for that purpose, to make sure we're not paying school year staff in advance.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Does that make sense
Everyone?
to everybody?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Okay.
All right, the next thing, we've got some wonderful donations. The Scholastic Sports Zone Foundation donated an automated external defibrillator to Auburn High School. And as you know, this is an essential tool to have on hand, and we thank them for their generosity. I just need a motion to accept that donation.
And just to share, we still have the defibrillators that have been in our buildings. This will be an additional one. And has been coordinated with the Auburn Fire Department as well for this acceptance.
Awesome.
I'll make a motion to accept with gratitude the automated external defibrillator donated to Auburn High School from Scholastic Sports Foundation.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye is a vote.
And the second letter, the thank you letter you'll see is that Mr. Stephen Hubbard generously donated an S30 astronomy imaging system to Auburn High School. This is a very exciting piece of equipment for the students to have, and we thank Mr. Hubbard for his generosity. And again, this would be a motion for acceptance.
Make a motion to accept with gratitude to the S30 astronomy imaging system generously donated to Auburn High School by Mr. Stephen Hubbard.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye is a vote.
And then we were very lucky to receive from Tina Puzo from Bank Hometown. She has presented the Auburn Public Schools with a check from their program called Funding Their Futures. Customers who open a new checking account are able to select the school district to which a $10 donation will be made by Bank Hometown. And I'm pleased to share that we received a check in the amount of $820. There is more information in your packet regarding this program. And so I would first entertain, it would be our recommendation, Dr. Chamberlain and I discussed this, to deposit this either into helping our own fund or into our system-wide gift account, and or another fund as determined by the school committee. So I would need a motion as to where you would like to see that donation.
Okay. Well, personally, I like helping our own fund, but I mean, anyone else have any?
That's what I was going to say.
The only thing about that is we have, I think, about $16,000 in that fund now. So it's a pretty healthy fund. The system-wide gift account will give a little bit more flexibility to schools that may want to access it for something for students.
Oh.
And has less funding in it. But either way is a good thing.
Yeah. Can you explain that more? The system-wide gift account? I don't quite understand what that is.
So Mrs. Stanek, what can they use that for? If
So any one of the administrators wanted to purchase something that wasn't, funded
have a
through the
special
budget or
program
have
come
a
in.
special program
Science
come in.
museum or something like that that they didn't have budgeted for and they didn't want to charge the kids, they could use the gift account for that. Helping Our Own is very specifically designed for students who financially can't afford a field trip or dues or something like that they can access it for that. So that's specifically what it's for. A principal couldn't offer an astronomy presentation by somebody using that, but they could out of the gift account. So that's the difference.
And through the chair, we are very lucky to have our Helping Our Own, and we've not had to deny any of the applications that come through
Not even
because we do
close.
have a nice, healthy balance in there.
Yeah, awesome.
All right, well, I'll collect everyone's input on what we think.
Yeah, that's system-wide, through the chair, that one. That sounds good, so they can have little extras. I like extras, you know.
I'm for it.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, so whoever makes that motion,
I'll make a motion to accept the funding their futures donation in the amount of $820 from Bank Hometown and deposit it into the system-wide gift account. The system-wide gift account.
can I get a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
She was hopeful. I was shocked when it was $820.
Yeah, that's
She called me and said, "Can I come in?" She didn't tell me how much the donation was for. So I was thinking like $100 or $200. When she came in with 820, I was shocked. And her hope is that in the next year she's shooting for $1,000. So they make a donation once a year. So pretty awesome. It is a special kind of checking account you have to open, but then they have a whole list of schools or districts that you can select to make the donation to. So
I mean, it'd be nice in the end if whatever the money ends up going to, maybe let them know so she feels
Yes.
like she's given back and
yeah,
so,
it was great. It was a lovely surprise.
yeah, wonderful.
All right, so we're going to go back to the bigger stack that starts with the cover sheet, the AHS audit review meetings. And we'll go through these. Just to remind everybody, the ones in gray we've already been through. I am very happy to report that I have had all of the meetings for all of the sub-accounts, the classes, and the clubs, and I have verified the balances with all of the class advisors. So we'll start with the annual ski trip. So if we go to the 1920 school year, again, the beginning balance is not verified prior to July 1st of 2019. And there was a difference in the amount that had been refunded to parents, because unfortunately this was a COVID year that they needed to refund. So the total variance was $233, and the true balance to end that year was $3,641.21. We carried that forward to the next year. Both of those transactions were accounted for, so there is a true balance of $3,341.21. In the 21-22 school year, the first thing that you see highlighted, that was an incorrect account. So we have the annual ski trip when they go on the big trips, and then they have Ski Wachusett that they go to on a weekly basis. This was put into the wrong ski club. So that was actually credited to Wachusett when I went through that. And then, as you see, there was this other adjustment that was made by the other business office prior to me, but it was adjusted in 1920. So we don't have to adjust it here in 21-22. And that had to do with the parent refunds. I made sure the parent refunds added up. You could see that in that 1920 school year. So the total variance for this school year was $554, leaving the true balance of $12,846.53. Move forward to the next school year, the 22-23 school year. There was the first one highlighted, there was a difference of 95 cents, and the other highlight was there was a difference of 39 cents. So the total variance is negative 56 cents, and the true balance is $5,063.61. moving forward to the next year. The first one highlighted, actually those two highlighted. So there was there was a duplicate entry, and it was off by $280. So that has been put back in there, and we made sure that the two, if you see on the right-hand side, there were two actual transactions that equal that total. So there is a total variance of $280. So the true variance is $7,081.17. And we go to the 24-25 school year. Beginning, all of the transactions were accounted for, and the verified balance was $7,343.86.
Mr. Young from the Ski Club kept very good records as well, so this worked out because there's a lot of transactions in here, so,
Very good with a spreadsheet.
yeah.
All right, then we move on to the AP testing. Again, we start with the 1920 school year. All the transactions are accounted for, just the beginning balance is not verified prior to July 1st of 2019. No variances. The true balance ending was $1,778.22. The next school year, again, all transactions accounted for, no variance. True balance of $4,019.25. Again, all transactions accounted for, no variance. True balance, $6,137.25. 22-23 is the same with no variances. So the true balance is $8,551.25. We move on to 23-24. So the ones in highlight were just to note, because the deposit amount was a little bit different, but it was also a return check that's highlighted. There is no variance, and the true balance is $9,947.84. And then we move forward to the 24-25 school year, and everything is accounted for, no variance. So the ending balance would be $9,920.84, which was verified. And the AP testing is going to make transfers to a few of the other sub-accounts that I will discuss in a little bit. What had happened was that with the AP testing, they used to have to buy number 2 pencils, and they used to have to buy supplies for the students. Well, now that's no longer needed. So we talked about adjusting the price that the students will be charged moving forward. But we'll be able to support some of our AP students in Model UN and We the People with those funds. All right, the next one is the class of 2024. The class of 2024 obviously has graduated. They have filled out their paperwork. I'm just waiting for one more sheet of withdrawal that they needed. And I had let them know that once the audit was complete, we would be able to release their funds to them. So we start in 2020, because that's when they were freshmen. They start with no money. And then they start, and all their transactions were accounted for, and they ended with $184.45. In the next school year, there was an error. There was a deposit that was recorded to them, and it should have been the class of 2022. So that variance is $700 for this year, and their true balance was $10,442. In the next school year, there were some discrepancies. In the first one, the bill came in at $44 higher, so we needed to rectify that. The custodian overtime, I've highlighted it both here. They actually made a duplicate entry, and so I highlighted the 171.59 was incorrect. So that has gone back into the account. And then if you look at on 3/9/2023, it says prom deposit to the AC Hotel. That is paying the deposit to go to the hotel. Unfortunately, they put it in the deposit transaction column. So we have to withdraw it as a deposit, and we have to actually account as a withdrawal because it was a check that came out. So unfortunately, that's a $5,000 variance in just that transaction. And so their total variance for this year is negative $4,872.41 for a true balance of $16,602.20. In the 23-24 school year, the first highlighted one was just a difference in what was paid in the invoice. So I've included that in the variance. The next one was a duplicate entry. I highlighted the two spots that it was. It only needs to be withdrawn once. And then the other one highlighted was there was a deposit error. It was actually for 85 more cents. This is a busy year because that's their junior year. Nope, that's their senior year. So the next page, there was a difference in the invoice. So the $15 difference is there. I highlighted it. So there is it's called END grant that comes through the DA office. And that is a grant that they can use for after prom events. So there was a transfer made into the account for the $1,200 of that grant. And then the total variance for this year was $918.60, leaving them a true balance of $2,178.46. And then we go to last year. It is typical that they gift or donate to the freshman class. So they had gifted to the class of 2028, and they were reimbursed for a Brownstone Adventure Park because something had happened with their field trip. So those transactions are accounted for. So their true balance that has been verified is $3,842.03, which the class, two of the class officers have created their bank account and everything. I'm just waiting for one more form, and then this will be cleared out because they will be withdrawing that money.
Why is the hypnotist highlighted here on second to last page from May 25th, 2024? It doesn't have like a monetary value. Was he canceled or?
We could not find the transaction with the withdrawal for that piece. So I'm not sure if it was canceled or not, or if they did in fact have the hypnotist.
No documented money was.
Not from our accounting system.
Okay.
All right, the next is the class of 2025. I had already brought this to you to be verified. However, so as you can see in one of the other classes, it went into the class of 2022 instead of the class of 24. So in doing another class, there was a $75 difference that was supposed to be added to them. So I gave you the updated document, and I had shared that with the class. And so the last time you had this was $75 less. So they have signed off on that. They had a $75 deposit that was in fact for their class. So their true balance is $11,779.38. They have, they're also going to be making donations to certain sub-accounts, as well as they are going to do some, not a merit awards, a merit awards at graduation this year. And then once that is complete, they will also have their funds to withdraw. They're just about ready to withdraw their funds.
Right. Will we be notified as to what they end up doing with the funds?
Nope, because once they graduate and it's given to them, they have to become a 501c.
Oh, yeah.
It goes into, it's mainly what the classes do is that they use it for their reunions.
Okay.
but it's no longer our funds because it belongs to the students of that class.
But as far as the merit awards, did they say that they were going to do 5 at $500 or 5 at $1,000?
5 at $1,000.
5 merit awards
Okay.
to graduating, so that will decrease what they ultimately end up.
And they were making donations to the other classes. I can share those with you once all those transfers have been completed.
Okay.
So just quickly through the chair, the merit awards that are on for the class of 2025 says $50, and you have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 of them.
Those were for their class. They're going to make more this year.
Oh,
They're going to do more for the graduating class this year, for the class of 2026.
okay.
They had an idea to do a scholarship. And they've now turned that into a merit award as it being oftentimes scholarship will go to year.
Right.
And so they've decided that with some of the remaining funds, these will go to the class of 26, the merit awards.
All right, next is the International Club. We start in 2019 and 20. Again, the beginning balance prior to July 1st of 2019 is not verified, but all of those transactions were accounted for this school year, no variance. True balance, $2,471.22. No transactions in the next school year. In the 21-22 school year, there was a deposit made, there was no variance, there's a true balance of $2,977.77. In the next year, there was a difference of the deposit, there was really for $30 more, so there was a $30 variance, and the true balance for the end of this school year was $2,977.83. No variances for the 23-24 school year. True balance, $3,259.43. And last school year, no variances, all transactions accounted for a verified balance of $2,647.99.
So, hold on, I just want to backpedal 1 second.
Absolutely.
December 22nd. It looks like miscellaneous money / safe at the AHS. Do we know, like, is that just a,
I am guessing they might have found an envelope that did not get accounted for, and it must have been labeled International Club. Again, this is the spreadsheets that were inherited.
yeah, okay.
And we pointed out a couple of those the last time, that there was,
Yeah, yeah.
And those are the things that the policies that Mrs. Stanek has developed are trying to eliminate from happening, along with the move to more electronic payments.
Absolutely. All right, so we are at National Honor Society, NHS. In the 1920, again, the beginning balance is not verified before July 1st of 2019, and there was one particular transaction that it looked like it had been paid to the vendor, but it wasn't, and then it was reimbursed to the staff member. So actually, there is no variance there. And then the true balance would be $1,029.50. The next year, it had noted a deposit of a grant. We do not have that information. There was no deposit that was made, so that would be a difference of $500 here, making the true balance $291 for the end of the year. The next school year, all transactions are accounted for with an ending true balance of $537.79. And the next year, all of the transactions are accounted for, no variance, an ending true balance of $634.56. In the 23-24 school year, we have a few things that were variances, a difference in a reimbursement, as well as a difference in the invoice. The other thing that you see highlighted here, this was when we had to do some investigation, and the deposit notes were for the wrong club. So when we went back, we fixed those because they were in fact for these transactions, these deposits. And so there was a total variance of $757.60, leaving the true balance for $631.65. Last year, all of the transactions were accounted for, and the club went into the negative of $542.78. So this is one of the places that will be receiving a donation from the AP testing. So AP testing had a balance that they will be transferring to them to bring them
To zero.
to zero to start the year. All right, the next one we go to is Rocket of the Week. Rocket of the Week began in 22-23 school year with a $5,000 donation from the class of 2022. There is no variances for this year, and the true balance ending was $4,832. Moving to the 23-24 school year, no variances, everything's accounted for. The ending balance, $4,268.50. And for last year, everything is accounted for, no variance. The verified true balance, $3,713.50. All right, now we have Rockets to Rockets. Rockets to Rockets, the beginning balance of $986.40 is not verified prior to July 1st of 2019. There is no variance, and the ending balance for this school year was $1,996.39. No transactions in the next school year. Then in the next school year, there had been noted that there was an invoice paid, but it had not been paid, and it was paid through our community busing when they had gone to the Horgan Arena for skating. So they had a total variance of $217.85 with an ending balance of $6,996.39. For 23-24, all of the transactions are accounted for, no variance, a true balance of $6,269.09. And for last school year, all transactions are accounted for with an ending verified balance of $4,810.80.
So hold on, I have a question, sorry.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
it was brought up in the past that families make like donations to Rockets to Rockets. Where does that fall into all of this? Were those donations ever recorded or?
Families typically would not, there was only a donation that was made by a prior class to
Okay.
this. There were no donations made by families. Some people get confused because there's Rockets to Rockets, which is a student activity. We also have the school day games and like the polar plunge that is coming up with Special Olympics. All of those donations go directly to Special Olympics. And then Special Olympics will at times make a donation to our programs. And that money is put into a separate revolving account. And they typically tell us exactly what that can be spent on.
Okay, almost like a grant then, or something along those
It's
lines.
kind of like
Yes.
a gift to some degree, but it's put in a revolving, and they'll say it can be used for supplies, or it can be used to pay staff, or it can be used to pay, I don't know what the other things were on the Special Olympics. But as far as that goes, I know there was a suggestion, and we've not gone through revolving accounts, which is separate from student activities. But we've found no donations, and parent donations would not go into a student activity account. It would go into a separate revolving account for a specific purpose.
Okay.
All right, now we have Science Olympiad. And Science Olympiad, in the 1920 had a zero balance. There were no transactions. And so then if you see at the top of the 23-24, there were no spreadsheets for 3 school years in a row. So based on the policies, this actually should have been closed. It was considered inactive. But in 23-24, there was a $40 deposit from the in and out account. And then they had some transactions. There were no variances, and their true balance was $40.83. And last year, there were no transactions. It was $40.83.
So is this a club that's on the way out?
So this is actually, later in your packet, I have for you to approve this club because it will continue. But
Okay.
it didn't for a period of time. It was
coming
inactive
back.
for a while. It has come back.
Because it sounds
So-
like a good program, so, or a
Yes,
good
and they
club.
do something with WPI as well, I believe.
Okay.
All right, last one of the sub-accounts at this time, We the People for Auburn High School. 1920, again, those beginning balances are not verified prior to July 1st of 2019. There's no variance because there were no transactions, so the true balance was $1,135. The next school year, the transaction was verified, no variance, true balance $678.80. The next school year, transaction was verified, no variance, true balance $529.80. Then in the next school year, there was just a 84-cent variance of an invoice, and that brings the true balance to $213.96. In 23-24, everything is accounted for, and they ended the year negative 84 cents. They started last school year with negative 84 cents. The transactions were accounted for, and there was also one transaction for busing to one of their competitions for $1,192.62 that was missing, bringing their true balance that was verified to a negative $1,442.53. Again, this is one that the AP testing is going to be able to gift some of their funds to support the program.
Some of this in this particular case has to do with what's funded through our curriculum competitions line, which is a line in our budget, and what is funded through their student activity account. And so Mr. DeLongchamp and his department heads are working through that to make sure that's what's in our budget, that everybody clearly understands what's there, what's included under curriculum competitions, and what we should be looking at student activities for.
Okay. I know that's a lot of numbers to throw at you. I did start the Auburn Middle School.
Can I interrupt for 1 second?
Yes.
Because are you going to go over this with them?
I will, yes.
Because this is just high school.
Yes, it is.
So while we've just gone through the high school, before you go to middle school, I think we should look at this.
Okay.
Do I have that? I don't know if I.
That's further in the packet. So this small bunch that was at the front
Okay.
that we moved, we're gonna put to the side.
Packet? I mean, I already looked at it with you.
like
The first thing I would ask, though, is that we would go to the Science Olympiad. And so you've been provided with a copy of this.
No.
I don't want you to go to the one that she just showed you.
Oh,
Because I have others that I have to do before I can do that. Ed in the high school.
okay. All right, so we're a little discombobulated here with what we have at this point. We gotta slow down so everybody's looking at the right thing.
Which one's the Science Olympiad one?
You're gonna find a listing of the sub-accounts.
Oh, I put it over here.
I apologize, when we changed order of the meeting.
This,
Yes, 2 pages.
It starts with Bryn Mawr and goes to Packagug.
Yes, it starts with Bryn Mawr, yes.
Oh, okay.
but should they also have this?
We should, but I can't do that right yet, because there's a few other things I have to do for the high school.
Okay. But I don't think they all have it.
No, we do.
They do, but it's later in the packet.
Yeah, I didn't get it, but that's because I picked my packet up early and
Okay.
whatever, so.
All right, so we're on this one now. This one you should have.
Pass this down to Jess.
She has it now.
She has it.
I can pass mine over if needed.
Yeah, this is it. Yeah.
Okay, we're good.
I apologize, there's a lot of papers
All
here.
right, no, it's good.
I thought we were doing the review meetings earlier, so I apologize. So here I've provided you with a copy of the student activity sub-account listing. The Science Olympiad has been approved by the building principal and the superintendent, and the club requires your acceptance. So on the second page, you're going to see that Science Olympiad is highlighted. It is an active club, it has been approved, and it needs your approval.
So I'll make a motion to approve the addition of the Science Olympiad Activity Club to Auburn High School.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, it's a go.
Go.
Awesome.
But we don't need that.
Nope.
Anything else than that.
So now, there are other sub-accounts that are part of the Auburn High School that I want to review before we do my audit recommendations. So one of the packets that should be there, and 3 of them should be in order. There should be one that's just miscellaneous, in and out, and interest.
Okay.
Okay.
Is everybody
I'll
okay?
just listen.
Got it.
So the miscellaneous would be if they needed to
I got it.
take a
Sorry.
field trip
Yep.
that was multiple classes and they didn't have a specific sub-account for. So in 1920, there was 0 balance, no variance. Next year, there was 0 balance still. We go to 21-22. So at this point, there was something that, again, was a deposit that was found, and they deposited it into the miscellaneous account, and it was for $1,192.62. Nothing happened in 22-23 or 23-24. And last year, the math meet utilized the funds, and you can see that We the People competition, they had put it here where it should have been, and I moved that to We the People that you saw earlier. So the true balance for this would be $290.45. This will make a little bit more sense when we go through the full audit report. The other sub-account that they had listed was an in and out account. So at times, they were putting in the deposits from Mr. Auburn tickets and then paying for those, the things that they purchased for that, or what they do with that. Also, again, if it was a field trip that hit various grade levels and no specific club, they would do it here. No Shave November, where they would take in the donations and then they send all of the donation to whatever the charity was. So in 2019, it started at 0. All the transactions are accounted for. The balance is 0 to end the year. Again, the next year there was nothing. In 21-22, there was a 48-cent math error. The ending balance for this year is 48 cents. 22-23, it says they were going to transfer that 48 cents. That was not recorded anywhere else, so it still has 48 cents in here. 23-24, there was a missing transaction and a transaction that was off by 50 cents. So there was a variance of $56.33 negative. The true balance ended at $33.40. And then last school year, everything is accounted for with no variance, leaving a balance of $52.29. And then lastly is the interest. So the interest is separate than the other sub-accounts, but it is utilized
with your vote correctly. So I'm just going to go through what had happened. So obviously, the interest is on the bank statements, but I can't verify that that was the correct thing prior to July 1st of 2019. So if you can see up at the top, the ending balance never changed, even though there were 3 withdrawals. So those are a variance of a negative $2,705.07.
Transactions, but this total never changed.
Okay.
So the true balance is $3,248.59. Stayed the same in the next year. For 21-22, no variance, the true balance $3,378.78. No variance in 22-23, true balance of $3,576.77. In 23-24, there was a dollar error. That was a variance. The true balance, $3,464.90. Last year, no variances, but there was additional interest that was not recorded. So the true balance to end FY25 would be $4,072.32. Now I've provided you with this spreadsheet. That is the audit adjustments.
Oh, I got it.
There's a lot. All right, so I've
This is wrapping up the high school, so I know it's a lot to go through, but hopefully we're gonna wrap up the high school with this.
So first, I'd like you to draw your attention to the true bank balances at the bottom of the sheet. So the true bank balance at the end of FY25 for the savings account was $95,212.82. The checking balance was $10,988.64 for a total balance of $106,201.46. This figure was reconciled to our accounting system. Now, if you would look at the spreadsheet totals, the total of the sub-accounts for Auburn High School in the very first column at the end of FY25 reflects $127,668.86, which is more, that you can see here, is more than what was actually in the bank. So the spreadsheets, as you can see with all of the ones that I've shared with you, there were variances. So the second column is the audit adjustments that reflect the variances found in the detailed audit I conducted back to July 1st of 2019. So there was less $16,532.46 less than they had recorded on their spreadsheets. Now, as you can see, the third column is the audit true balance, which was the verified balance that was reviewed by all class and club advisors. These balances were agreed to by myself, the class or club advisors, the Auburn High School principal, the treasurer, at many times the AEA representatives, and many times Dr. Chamberlain. But this figure is still more than the bank balance. That is $111,136.40. So it is my recommendation that we liquidate the sub-accounts discussed in green. So that discussed in green was that I just did was the in and out and the miscellaneous, and the inactive, which are highlighted. We went through the inactive as one of the very first meetings we had.
Through the beginning of this whole conversation where you voted, there were 4 clubs that you voted that were inactive, and that we would table that balance until we got to the end of this audit.
And those can be, you can see those also reflected at the bottom, the inactive clubs, the total there, as well as the miscellaneous in and out. There's a grand total of $2,711.07. And it would be my recommendation to liquidate those funds to bring us in closer balance to what is in the bank. And then finally, utilizing $2,223.87 from the interest to bring the accounts in line with the bank balance. In doing so, there will be no financial impact to the students in a negative way or their programs. And please note that the two accounts you see that are in the negative, other clubs have generously donated to bring those out of the red, and that will be reflected in the FY26 spreadsheets. So I am happy to answer any questions. I know it was a lot to take in.
So do you need a motion or an
I do.
approval? Yeah.
I need a recommended motion.
Gotcha.
I'll make a motion to approve the to approve the audit adjustments to the Auburn High School Student Activities Sub-account as presented by the business manager.
Second.
Can I ask a question first? How are clubs able to get into the negative? Like,
Sometimes
is there like a way to prevent that in the future?
they shouldn't, and by policy, they're not supposed to. And again, one of those is We the People. So that it has a student activity account, and we also utilize the competition line from the general budget. We've been level funding our budget and our budget lines, so as those competition fees increase, busing increases, it's a little bit challenging. But no, they're not supposed to go in the red, and we've talked about that with them.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Any other questions? Okay, can I get the motion again?
I'll make a motion to approve the audit adjustment to the Auburn High School Student Activities Sub-account as presented by the business manager.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Wow, that was a mess. Thank you for doing all of that. So basically, the $16,000, that figure there, that's the $16,000 worth of mistakes, essentially?
In the spreadsheets, yes, correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Yep, that's exactly what that is.
Okay, is everybody clear on that?
Yes.
We understand what happened to the money?
Got it.
All right. So let's move on then to the student activity accounts.
So now I'm going to review the middle school from the Auburn Middle School review meetings that I have had.
You just don't stop.
All right.
Moving right along to the next one. Okay.
I'm sorry.
No, don't be sorry. Thank you.
I did check to see if that was okay to start this. We would like to bring this to, because now I'm going to have to go make all those adjustments on the FY26 spreadsheets that they have, so that they know this spreadsheet matches what we truly have for funds in the accounts.
So basically, the people that, or the clubs that thought they had a certain amount and really didn't, we're now making it right. So they do have that amount that they didn't really have, but now they have it.
It's going to
We
come in
all
line
agree
with
that what's in their spreadsheet.
Okay.
As of now, all these spreadsheets go to
the end of FY25.
5. So what happens now? So we had to have a stop point, right? That you balance to.
Yes, yeah.
Now these balances now have to get incorporated into everything that's happened now in FY26, because a lot of these clubs have had other things, and there's a spreadsheet keeping track of that. But now it's making sure that this all matches.
Okay.
Yes.
And they all know that. As we
Yes,
talk to
they all
them in
know
the
that.
meetings, they all know that this was to FY25 and that we would move forward from here with whatever transactions have happened.
Okay, so middle school, I have had meetings with 8th grade, library, student council, yearbook, and young engineers. So I will start with the 8th grade class. And this was a bit challenging because the 8th grade used to split up their team, and they used to have names for their teams. So it was challenging to figure out. The Onyx became the Phoenix, became the Stingrays, and all of this. So it took me a while to follow that. So I have let the Auburn Middle School know that they can name them whatever they want, but it has to be sixth grade or seventh grade or eighth grade. Because the problem is, they have great knowledge of that over there, but in the business office, I don't know my Phoenix from my Onyx. So, and that is truly
And it
was a
creates some confusion. for sure.
concern.
There's a lot of red on this one.
So, well, actually, no, they just happen to color code their withdrawals that way on their spreadsheets. So it's the same thing. So here, the first thing you're seeing is the Phoenix team, which was formerly the Onyx team. You see that up in the upper left. So the Onyx ending balance was $544.07. There were no variances. The
344.
true balance becomes $344.07.
Is that a 3, not a 5?
It's the 5 was at the top, and they finished with a 3.
The beginning balance was the 544. Excuse me. Okay, so this is still the Phoenix team. Oops, sorry. And here, we had a missing deposit that needed to be credited to the account, a transaction that was off by $1, another couple transactions that were off. One was by $13.47. There was one that the transaction did not come out and did not happen. And then a deposit that was not. Again, at times they would put that there were grant funds going to these classes. Grant funds are not put into student activity accounts typically.
Those would be kept in a revolving.
So the total variance here was in their favor for $390.48. So the true balance was $1,066.43. Now, the same year, this is the other,
This is
the
Dragons.
Dragons, who were the Diamonds.
And now there's something else again.
Oh, yes. So not only was it, challenging to figure out the numbers, this was challenging to figure out the names.
Yeah, I don't know what they are either, but
So now there was a beginning balance adjustment that had been made by the prior business office, and then there was $1 off of a transaction. Again, a deposit, that was that grant that did not go into this account, and a difference of $13.47 of an invoice. This variance was not in their favor. It was $464.47 less. So the true balance for the Dragons became $1,433.13. Okay, so this is Phoenix. And what ended up happening was they then combined them to 1/8 grade. So you'll see here that's highlighted that was the Dragons ending balance, but that was the incorrect amount. So I've made that change. There was a deposit difference. And then if you move forward, there was a reimbursement difference and a missing deposit. So a total variance not in their favor of less than $751.06 for a true balance of $578.89. This was just the ending balance from Diamonds to Dragons. So Phoenix, for the 23-24 school year, you will see that originally I had seen that there was a deposit difference of $34, and you can see further down it was an invalid check that they did take out. There's a 50-cent difference in a deposit. There was a difference in the transportation invoice in their favor. An invoice $20 difference. And then these were duplicate entries. Somebody had put, it needs to end on June 30th, because that's when the fiscal year ends, and somebody put August and September on this spreadsheet, when these transactions are actually on the next year's spreadsheet. So those were duplicates. So this total variance in their favor was $1,128.35 for an ending balance of $2,451.62. There were formula errors that I did rectify in this spreadsheet for last year, but all of the transactions were accounted for. So they ended with a true balance of $566.65. I promise you, the others for tonight are more straightforward. There's not another class in here.
So I got a question for you on this one.
Yes.
So the diamonds and the dragons are now the same thing. Is that what we're doing?
The whole 8th grade is accounted for one 8th grade class, and that's
Right.
that.
So, but when you have this separated out for Onyx and Phoenix with this is the end, then it was combined in 2022, 23?
Correct.
Okay. And then it went, and now this is 23, 24 is the 8th grade, whatever they're called. Mm-hmm. And, okay.
Yes.
Okay. I got you. I got a little confused because the ending balance for the diamonds or whatever. I don't know. I think the math doesn't seem right, and I'm just trying to figure out where we combined.
Do you see
Like-
where diamonds on 21-22 ended with
Yeah.
1,433.13?
Yes.
And the next one where it says they, on 9/8/2022, that transaction,
9, 8, 20. Okay. Yep.
it says combined to one 8th grade.
Okay.
They had the wrong figure.
That's where I got confused. I'm like, we're short like $500 here, and then I'm like, I'm not understanding where it went.
Yep, so that's where it went.
That's
That's where it went. I got it. I got it. We're back.
All right. So the library sub-account is what they typically use for their scholastic book fairs that they have had in the past. Again, we start with $334.06 prior to July 1st of 2019. No transactions in that year. No transactions in the next 2 years, 3 years. And then the last school year, they did have the book fair, and all those were accounted for. Their ending true balance is $334.48. Our middle school student council began with $125.98. Again, that's not verified before July 1st of 2019. There was some difference in their Masterman's invoice here, and they were missing 2 other invoices. But altogether, they actually wash each other out for no variance with a true balance of $962.31.
Okay.
21-22, it said a beginning balance. I fixed the carry forward error, so that beginning balance adjustment that the prior business office did not need to be done, so that was given back to them. The true balance stays at $962.31. The next year, they had one deposit, and that brings the true balance to $1,112.98. Again, one deposit for a true balance of $1,117.98. Last year, all transactions accounted for. Ending verified balance, $1,576.99. We move on to the AMS yearbook. Begins with $1,827.05. I did find that there was a carry forward error, so I did correct that. There's no variance, and the ending true balance was $2,170.05. Stayed the same for the next school year. 22-23, no variances. The true balance was $1,503.05. The next school year, 23-24, no variances. Ending balance, $1,267.05. Last year, no variance. Ending balance verified, $802.05.
Through the chair, what does carry forward error mean?
That means they would have this doesn't match. They carried forward, like they may have made a
Transcription.
Transpose numbers, or they forgot something.
1,600 instead of 1,800. Okay. Got it. Okay.
And then we have young engineers. All right. This one only had a spreadsheet that started in 2021, 2022, and I just said this was not recorded on previous spreadsheets. So they began with $401.01. I was not able to verify that prior to 2019. So their true balance is carried to the next year. All transactions are accounted for. Their true balance is $401.01. Stayed the same for 23, 24. And then last year, they had one transaction, and now their true balance is a penny. That has been verified. So those are the review meetings that have taken place so far at Auburn Middle School. And the next 4 I will bring forward next time. It will only be 4. And hoping to be able to also close out the audit for Auburn Middle School as well. The last piece for Auburn Middle School is I'm giving you copies of balance sheets for multiple Auburn Middle School inactive student activity accounts, which include art club, newspaper club, music, and NJHS. Now, just so you know, those clubs may still, art club and NJHS are still active clubs, but they don't need a sub-account in student activities. The NJHS pays dues, and that is paid through, it's included in the principal's dues when he pays his association fees. Okay, you ready?
Let's ask, do we need to go through each of
I don't
these?
think we need to go through those.
No.
You don't think we need
So
to go
these,
through this?
these,
Okay.
these have been discussed with the folks at the middle school. If there are still people associated with these clubs that are still at the middle school, or with the principal, as whether they are active in need of a student activity. So for instance, as you just said, National Junior Honor Society is not going away, but it doesn't have to function through a student activity account. So there's $47 that's been sitting there that we could call this inactive, and that can go towards fixing any discrepancy down the line. Same thing with music, newspaper. Spanish didn't have anything, right? But
No.
that's something that we need to, the committee needs to vote to make inactive, which is part of the procedures for this, as well as the art club.
And through the chair, the advisors are okay with.
If they are here, yes. If they are now gone because no one's been doing it for a bit and they're not,
I'm
whoever,
thinking of it like NJHS, for example, because they.
yeah,
are still-
they're totally fine with it.
Okay.
Yep.
They don't need the money for
And
that.
the last sheet, it just said the email was sent to the class advisor alerting that the inactive account will be brought to the school committee to be dissolved. And then one of them had been, the art club had been at one of the other meetings, I think 8th grade, and she said, nope, that's totally fine.
Okay.
So the last, I did give you a summary page of those inactive clubs and the total amount. So I need 2 votes from you on the recommended motion for the discontinuation and then for
I know.
the disposition of those assets.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the discontinuance of the art club, newspaper club, music, and NJHS per the Auburn Public School Student Activity Accounts, Policies, and Procedures Manual.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
I'll make a motion to approve the disposition of the assets totaling $234.08 until the completion of the 2025-2026 internal audit.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
I appreciate your attention and patience. And then the last thing is I've provided you with a year-to-date budget report for the FY26 school year dated March 10th, 2026 for your review. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Do you have any questions?
No.
My eyes are bleeding.
Yeah, I know. My eyes are blurred.
Oh, gosh.
That's my world.
Okay.
Through the chair, if I could just say.
Yep.
There is no doubt that this was a process that had to be gone through. And I think moving forward is going to put the student activities accounts in such a much better place. But as you said, your eyes are bleeding. I have to just compliment the work that Mrs. Stanek and her folks have done on this. This was a Herculean task to go through it to the degree of specificity that she did. And I know at the start of some of this, there was a lot of speculation and innuendo and mistrust in the community about what was happening here. There were definitely mistakes. We found many of them. But those mistakes are being rectified. The policies and procedures that are being put in place are going to help stop this from ever happening again. And I hope there's some understanding in the community at how hard people are working to do the right thing. And again, I just want to say thank you because there aren't many people that could have even taken the time or had the patience to go through all this. And I just think that some appreciation is warranted. So
Through the chair, I agree.
I agree as well.
Thank you. I appreciate your kind words. I'm sorry that your eyes are crossing.
It's fine.
Through the chair,
just
labor
ready-
of love. Labor of love.
Yeah.
Right there.
Yeah. I was happy to share the results with you to be able to bring that in line.
Yeah.
I mean, she's going to have this done before the end of the school year.
it's a miracle.
Well, it just shows that it was such a huge undertaking that people before you didn't bother to do it because it was so much work. So, thank you
Thank you.
for that.
Thank you.
We'll get you a free lunch or something. I don't know. Something's coming your way.
I think if she's
Brianne
going to
to bring
do
over
this
some
to
school
us
lunch.
again, though, she does owe us a little lunch, too. Like, we got to go both ways.
All right, we do not need executive session. So can I get a motion to adjourn?
I will make a motion to adjourn.
I second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right, good night, everyone.
Good night.